What do you mean your mom just left you all alone?
I woke up one day and she was gone. I haven't seen her in 3 weeks and there's no more food in the house. I don't know what to do. You guys need to find her and arrest her.
Well, honey, we'll try all we can to find her, but first, we've got to get you into foster care.
Foster what? I couldn't believe my ears. How could my mom do this to me? Well, it was probably my fault, but I'll let you be the judge. I'll explain everything that happened until we got to the point of my mom totally abandoning me. Don't go away now. I was an only child with 2 loving parents who showered me with affection. My favorite parent was Dad because he gave me anything I wanted. Remember Veruca Salt's dad from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory? He was sort of like that, except I didn't need to ask twice. So you can bet that my childhood was awesome. Daddy, I want a big dollhouse.
We'll go buy it tomorrow, dear.
I want a pony too.
Okay, we'll just have to buy a house with a bigger backyard, but we'll make it work.
Yay! Can I have a little pig too? I want to keep him in my room. Little piggies are so cute.
Sure, darling.
My mom was usually silent, so I wasn't sure whether she approved, but most of the time it just seemed like she didn't care. Now, people who get everything they want can do one of 2 things: become generous or become absolutely horrible and selfish. Can you guess what I became? It started really early. I brought one of my new dolls to kindergarten and everyone was impressed. There was this girl in my class called Maybelle. She wore the same clothes almost every day and she wanted to hold my doll. Ew, no! You're dirty! I don't want you to touch my stuff. And why do you wear the same thing every day? Are you poor? Being poor is gross. I bet your dad doesn't buy you lots of nice things. I have a bedroom with lots of toys. Where do you sleep? I'm sure it's outside, on the street. Just then, my teacher walked in and she was super angry. She gave the class a lecture about treating others with kindness, and then she took me to the principal's office. She called my parents and told them what happened. My mom nodded silently and looked a bit disappointed, and my dad promised that he'd deal with me. When we left the office, he looked at me and said,
"Why don't we go to the toy store? I'll buy you something nice for listening to that stupid principal go on and on about respect."
John, she just did something really horrible, and you're going to reward her?
Yes, but she already had her punishment listening to that guy.
My mom rolled her eyes and didn't say anything else. That afternoon, my dad bought me 10 new Barbies. I dressed one of them like Maybelle and kicked her under my bed. You can already guess that I became one of the worst teenagers, a totally mean girl who treated everyone like garbage. But somehow, mean girls end up being popular, so my high school life wasn't bad at all. I got my dad to buy me the most expensive, fashionable clothes so that everyone could be jealous. Even my stationery was gold-plated. So all the guys wanted to be with me because I guess I was just a status symbol. I dated a few and settled on my favorite because he'd buy me lots of presents whenever we went out. His name was Charles. Anyway, one Saturday after hanging out at his house, he dropped me home and I was about to invite him inside for a drink when I heard something strange inside. It sounded like my parents were arguing. I asked Charles to kindly get lost and I pressed my ear to the door to listen carefully.
You're overreacting, Anna.
I'm not. You've been doing this since she was a child and she's become a total monster. Do you hear the way she speaks to her friends? I feel like I failed as a parent. And you should too.
That's ridiculous.
You treat her better than you treat me. When was the last time you bought me anything? See, you can't even remember.
So what's your point?
You need to stop. If you can't, I think we should get a divorce.
I will never stop being a great father to my baby girl.
Well, you'll need to do it from a distance. We're getting a divorce and I'm going to file for custody. Maybe I've got a little bit of time left to make her into a good human being.
Fine.
Was this really happening? Were my parents really breaking up? Was it all because of me? I went inside quietly so they wouldn't know I was back, then went into my room to think. Did it really matter? If my parents broke up, I guess my dad could still send me money and I could have all the things I wanted, right? It's not like I valued a relationship with either of them. I just wanted my stuff. So within a few weeks, my dad had moved out and I was stuck with my boring mom. Before leaving, he gave me a few of his credit cards and told me to use them responsibly. For the first few months, everything was fine, but my mom began to suspect something because I continued to buy designer clothes like nothing was wrong. She barged into my room one night, angrily. "Give them to me this instant!" "What? Chill, Mom. Chill, nothing! I know your dad left credit cards. Give them to me. No. Do you want me to go live on TikTok breaking everything in this room? Give me the cards! What? Okay, fine. Here. I handed over the cards and she cut them into pieces with a pair of scissors. I could have cried. By the way, your dad has started a new family. He lives about 2 hours away and he's married to some dumb blonde lady. She's already pregnant. The nerve. She what? I was heartbroken because what if he decided to spend all his money on the new baby instead of me? At this point, life just became difficult. My mom didn't buy me stuff even when I asked nicely. I didn't even ask for much. One day I just wanted this new Louis Vuitton bag and she told me to get lost because I already had over 300 bags. That was true, but what was one more? So now Charles had to buy me everything I wanted, and that wasn't too hard for him because his parents were rich. But when my mom saw me coming home with bags and bags of expensive stuff, she'd look a bit jealous. Where'd you get that from? What do you care? Obviously not from you. Are you stealing? Of course not. I got my boyfriend to buy them for me. At least someone cares about me. You're the worst mother on the planet, and I wish I could go stay with Dad and his new wife. I'm sure she's prettier and smarter than you are. She sighed and left the room, and I had no idea that that would be the last time I'd see her for a while because the next day when I woke up, she was gone. She didn't come back that night, or the next day, or the day after that. There was enough food in the house, so I didn't really care. And when I was tired of that, I asked Charles to take me to restaurants. But then 3 whole weeks passed, and there was no sign of my mom at all.
I think you should go to the police.
Why, Charles? Have you met my mom? She's annoying.
What if something happened to her? Who's going to take care of you? How are you going to go to college?
My dad?
Do you even know where he lives? How to find him?
I decided to listen to Charles, and I went to the police. They tried to reach my dad, but there was no answer, and instead of trying to find my mom to put her in jail for the scumbag she was, they said they'd have to put me in foster care for a while. Can't I just stay home alone?
No, honey, you're a minor.
I broke up with Charles that minute because it was his bad advice that got me into this mess. He went home looking sad while I waited in the police station until a weird-looking family came to take me away. The cops said I got lucky because normally they'd have to send abandoned kids like me to an institution, and it could take a while to find a foster family. I don't know how they defined luck, because living with this family was awful. I had to share a room with 2 other foster kids, gross girls who had no taste or class. They had no designer clothes at all, so we had nothing to talk about. I cried myself to sleep almost every night, wondering why on earth my mom would just leave me. I tried and tried to call my dad too, but there was no answer. After about 2 weeks of this torture, I decided that I couldn't take it anymore. I snuck out in the middle of the night and decided to go look for my dad. I assumed he'd be in a particular town since my mom said he was about 2 hours away. I hopped onto a bus, and after 2 hours, I got off and began my search. I literally had no idea what I was doing. I just showed his picture to random people on the street and asked them if they'd seen him. No one had. And just as I was thinking about going back to that awful foster home, a cab pulled over.
Where would you like to go?
I don't want a cab. Ew! I've never ridden in a cab. Wait, have you seen this man? I showed him the picture of my dad.
Oh yeah, I gave him a ride a few days ago.
Can you take me there?
Hop in.
I couldn't believe my luck. After driving about 10 minutes, the cab stopped in front of a tiny house with a cute flower garden. Are you sure this is the place? My dad can't be living somewhere so small.
Yes, dear, it is. Now, you gonna pay me or what?
I paid him and walked to the door. I rang the doorbell and nearly lost my mind when I saw who opened the door. Mom? Oh my gosh, Serena, how did you find us? Us? Then I saw my dad appear behind her.
This is awkward.
What's going on?
Well, the truth is, we were both really tired of you and we decided that we didn't want kids anymore. So we made up some excuse so we could move away and start over. Now that you found us, I guess we'll have to do it the proper way. We'll put you up for adoption, or maybe you can just go back to that nice foster family and leave us alone. What do you think?
They went back inside, closed the door, and I stood there in shock. I knocked and knocked, but they pretended I didn't exist. I had no choice but to go straight back to my foster parents in that awful home that I hated so much. This has been a horrible adjustment, but I'm learning to live like a normal teenager now. I only have about 2 years left until I turn 18, and I have no idea what will happen to me then. Wish me luck, I guess.